Welcome back to MBH Podcast, Money Buys Happiness, Season 4. It is actually coming to an end. It's sad. I'm kind of happy because holy fuck, doing this shit this often gets crazy.
Yo, just the season. Don't scare people.
Yeah. Just the season.
We're not going nowhere.
Yo, listen, appreciate everyone showing us love. Like, subscribe to the channel. Stop fucking watching the video and not subscribing to the fucking channel, bro.
We need that, bro.
Fuck,
that's like the
man.
one thing we need.
No, but listen, we got a legend in the building today.
Yes, sir.
Ricochet,
You're
what's
too
up,
kind.
bro?
What's
How
going
are
on,
you,
man? How you doing?
Good, bro. Good.
Yo, we got him here, bro. I know it was a mission, bro.
We were just saying it was like three chances we tried to make it happen, but we got third time's the charm.
Busy as fuck, bro. We were just kind of talking about it too.
Yeah.
Schedule's getting hectic, bro.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get you here, bro, because, bro, our whole network, bro, they listen to you all day, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
You're on the radio. You're on 93.5. Probably, to me, probably the best station in Toronto.
Right. Thank you.
I fuck with the music hard, and I'm like, yo, I have to get you on, bro. Like this is for sure.
Right.
So going into it, where the fuck did you start? That you ended up here,
Man. It's a long story. Are we going that far back?
Yeah, we got time.
Listen, you could
All right, so I
summarize
think
something,
I was like literally like 12 years old.
Okay.
Watching Electric Circus. You guys remember
of
Electric
course.
Circus?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the DJ and all the chicks are around the DJ. And I'm like, holy fuck, the DJ is fucking cool. He's probably getting laid all day long, right? And I don't know. I seen the DJ and something attracted me to that. So like literally, I think 6 months later, I just started saving my lunch money. So like my mom would give me money to go buy
quick $5-10
bus tickets.
Yeah.
And I would just fucking walk to school minus 30. Like fuck it,
Love
you know
that,
what I mean?
love that.
Got enough money together. Ended up buying a pair of turntables, and that was it, man.
For real,
like soon after that, I volunteered at a community radio station, which is now Vibe 105. Before it was just
And how old
CHRY.
were you when you did that?
I think 15.
Wow.
Crazy, man, because I used to we would do the night shift 2 to 7 initially before we got mornings.
Okay.
And I would at that time you had to have crates, record crates.
Yeah.
Oh my
right? There's
God.
no Serato.
Like pulling, you gotta pull
you
up with
fucking recycling bins, right?
Yeah.
So I would take that shit on the bus, man, at like 2 in the morning, the 106, the York
Come
University
on.
106, take it to the station, and then bring the records to school. I went
my
to school
God.
down the street from there,
Okay.
and then put the records in the principal's office. So you'd see me at like 3:30 with fucking record crates.
Yeah.
So
Coming
you
off
were
the
doing
bus.
2 a.m.
to 7 a.m.
to 7 a.m. and then going to school.
and then going to school after. Yeah.
Wow.
Mind you, it was only one day a week.
Yeah, but still.
But still, I was like, my
What are
parents
the-
were like, "What the fuck? What are you doing?" Like,
Yeah.
At that time, how are you getting the records?
buying them initially, and then there was record pools after. So once you got to a certain place in your career, the record labels would just give you the records.
Okay.
Cool.
Right.
That's
So
cool.
you
Like
weren't
on an
buying them.
ongoing basis, just
Yeah,
like,
but at 15, I'm pretty sure I was buying them, man. Like
You probably had to.
I remember exactly how much you can get 3 records for $27.
Wow.
Shouts to George over at Tracks. Like
That's
Oh,
crazy.
that's crazy,
Yeah.
man. Okay, so then I guess you kept doing that.
Yeah.
Right. And then were you getting into DJing at clubs or festivals at all at that
Yeah,
point?
I mean, that almost started right off the bat. I think at 15, 16, club gigs started popping up. Now, were they the most exclusive gigs in the world? No, we weren't downtown or anything, but we were doing, it's funny because my first go at it was kind of like in dance hall parties.
Dope.
Okay.
Which is hella interesting because they're not very forgiving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a dance hall environment, at a banquet hall or a club,
Okay.
If you're shit, you're shit, and everybody's gonna let you
They're
know
gonna
about
blast
it,
you, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And being a 15-year-old kid, 16, you get nervous real quick.
there's some
But I
pressure.
think that set me up for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like, that gave me like the toughness.
That was that
and
pressure
the
you
confidence.
needed. Yeah.
Right? Like, if you can, in that situation where not everybody's there to hear hip hop.
Of course.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm playing hip hop. This is a
Yeah.
dance hall party.
Yeah.
So you might have like 15 minutes to make something happen.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, that definitely gave me the toughness, right? And then as soon after I realized, I'm like, this is maybe just not a hobby.
Yeah.
This looks like this is a career. And then a little while after that, we were touring Canada.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
Talk about the tour a little bit.
Funny story. So we get a call from a promoter out in Edmonton.
Okay.
And he's like, listen, I'm going to bring you out to like a whole West Coast tour. So it was like Calgary, Edmonton, maybe Red Deer, Kelowna, Vancouver, all that. But I'm still in school.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm like 16 or 17 years old.
Crazy.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? How am I going to leave? So I had to convince my mom that like this is something I needed to do.
Yeah.
It was like 2 or 3 weeks, the tour. And she ended up writing a letter. She met with the principal. She's like, I'm pulling my son from school.
Wow,
and he's like,
amazing.
for what? He's like, he's going on tour as a DJ. And like, they couldn't fucking believe it, right?
Yeah,
My mom's
yeah.
East Indian, right?
Of
Like,
course.
like,
So
what?
it's old school thinking. Yeah. So like,
My
what?
mom wasn't so old school,
Yeah.
actually. Like, they
Okay.
got here in the early 70s,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So it wasn't really the old school thinking because she was kind of with it. Like, at this point in time, she was like, anything that's going to keep my son from fucking around in the streets.
Yeah.
Because that was a temptation that was there.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like, immigrant parents both working double
Yeah.
shift all the time. Nobody's
Yeah.
really home. How hard is it for me to do whatever the fuck I want to
Exactly.
do, right?
Yeah.
But I think she seen very quickly that this hobby was keeping me in the house and keeping me focused.
Yeah.
And I was making money.
Of course.
I was making fucking pretty
At
good
that
money,
age,
man.
yeah,
Like, I was
at
selling
that
mixtapes at $10 a pop. Like,
Let's
we would do
go.
like a couple thousand mixtapes, right?
Let's go.
So, you
That's
know,
amazing.
the principal made it happen.
Dope.
I mean, it ended up costing me a year of school in the long run.
You had to redo a year?
Yeah, I think I was
Soft,
like
bro.
19 when I fucking like
How you gonna say no to
graduated or
opposite?
some shit. You know what I mean?
Fuck
But
yeah.
Yeah,
whatever.
but like look at those experiences, like
Yeah.
compared to what other 16, 17-year-olds are doing. Okay, so
what-
you go
yeah,
from there.
Yeah. When,
Yeah.
when does
What's-
flow happen? That's what I want to know.
Flow. So whenever the inception of Flow happened, I remember applying.
Okay.
But I was part of a sound crew at that time called Ill Kids.
Okay.
And we were probably a little rough around the edges.
Like not so
probably,
not
we
so
were.
corporate. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, yeah.
When
corporate.
you say sound crew,
So a sound crew, a sound, I guess, comes from maybe the dance hall scene, which is
Okay.
originally a bunch of people would string up speakers and have a party. But here in Toronto or Canada, at least, I think it was adopted as a collective of an MC, a DJ, or maybe a
Okay.
couple DJs, an MC, and a manager. So it was basically just a collective of a few of us
Okay.
who had one goal in mind.
Sweet.
And we went by Ill Kids at that time, and we were young and dumb. So
Causing scenes. Yeah.
so I don't think Flo wanted that kind of imagery
Okay.
around. I kept applying, and I was like, after a while, I was like, fuck it. I dropped out of, I was at Seneca for radio broadcasting.
Okay.
After the first year, I'm like, this is a fucking waste of time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? I don't need to
Money,
go to school for
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
yeah.
So I actually took the rest of the money and opened a nightclub
Damn.
with a few buddies.
okay.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I forgot about radio.
Yeah.
Completely.
Okay.
Dived right into gave it my 1,000 into nightlife and
Okay.
entertainment. And then, funny enough, around 2014, I was managing a nightclub, and I had hired a dude named Mastermind, super
I
OG
do
in
know
the city,
Mastermind.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
super
Shout out
OG,
Mastermind.
right? And we got to talking. He's like, "Yo, what did you go? You went to school?" I'm like, "Yeah, I went to school for like a year for radio broad." He's like, "For real?" He's like, "We're looking for somebody right now. Why don't you apply?" And I never really, because like I said, when we were discussing off air, I was still touring,
Yeah.
with CP Records,
Yeah.
and touring on my own, and money was good, and still kind of living a fast life, and didn't really want to settle down because
Slow
when you're
down.
on radio, it's
Yeah.
hard to just pick up and go where the fuck
Yeah,
you
of
want,
course,
right?
of
Like
course.
Monday to Friday, you got to be on air at that time.
Responsibility, yeah, man.
Yeah, so I thought maybe at that point in time, things were kind of getting a little hectic.
Okay.
I just found myself being hungover all fucking
Yeah.
week. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, fuck, how long can I do
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
So I took the gig. It was a weekend gig. Ran with that for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, after all these years of waiting to be at Flow decides to switch format
Okay.
and go like old school, like 80s, 90s,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Madonna and fucking, just a different vibe.
Vibe, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this is not what I'm like. I'm not to say that I wasn't here for radio, but I'm here for the culture of hip hop.
Of
Like
course.
that's what I appreciate. That's what I
Yeah.
love. So, I just said, fuck it. I'm like, I'm gonna resign. And then fast forward again, they switch back to hip hop. They give me
Yeah.
the call. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And here we are now.
Damn, bro.
So this was so your first radio gig was only 2014.
My first official commercial
yeah.
on a commercial radio station. Yes, I had done a couple stints at there was a hip hop station, shouts to my guy Albar Nation, called Project Bounce.
Cool. Okay.
So it was like 12 to 6 or 12 to 8 in the morning,
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
hip hop. So I did that for a little while, did CHRY, but just community radio, never in a corporate setting.
Yeah. So what was it like stepping into like a corporate setting? Because what I'm curious about is, what was it like stepping into that setting, and was there also, is there also sort of like strict guidelines, stuff you got to follow, or do they give you that freedom?
So you
like,
can't
Yeah,
say
no,
this.
of course, right? Like, we're dealing with the CRTC
Yeah.
when it comes
Fair,
to
yeah.
being on radio. So there's definitely guidelines and things you can and cannot do. And the things I would usually be used to saying,
you can't.
I can't say.
Yeah, that's
like, if
okay.
I'm being completely honest with you, there's probably a different Ricochet you hear on the radio
Yeah.
versus if we were just kicking it.
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course,
You know what I mean?
of course.
I'm a very opinionated individual.
course.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a, the hardest thing for me was somebody telling me I need to be here at this time and I can't leave until this time. I never had a job prior to that. Like ever. I think I maybe worked at McDonald's when I was 14. Maybe at some factory for like 2 months once upon a time. But it's just like, I never had to. I never thought that was something, not that there's nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't for me.
You didn't think you'd be there. Right.
So I think that was the hardest thing is kind of like, fuck, like, I'm here now. You know what I mean? I can't, like, when there's an opportunity to pick up to go to LA, I fucking can't. You know what I mean? Or a gig calls and they're like, hey, we got something for you in Romania.
For sure.
I'm like, fuck, I can't go, right?
But at the same time, you've probably met some fucking really cool people from being in that position.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, because prior to this, I'm a club guy. I'm a DJ. I'm an MC. I'm in that whole business. So you're definitely going to, network and meet people, but then you get into the radio thing, it just takes that and makes it even bigger.
Exactly.
If that's the right word. So yeah, it was cool to kind of like, now I'm not just running up on artists to take a picture or some shit. There's a purpose. You know, so it definitely opened doors in that aspect.
Cool.
I want to talk about even like what kind of impact do you think you've had on 93.5 as a platform? I know that there's been implementations of like the Made in Toronto, which is huge. I mean, I see a lot of support for the local, which is huge, right?
So
and I think you have a piece to do with that.
So that was my focus. That was something that really, coming back to the radio station in 2018, I think, that was the driving force for me to come back.
Okay.
When it comes to Flow, there's no hip hop stations in Canada. Like literally, Flow 93.5 is the only commercial hip hop station in the whole fucking country.
That's crazy.
So it's great, being part of that. But it was the takeover that really was something I was passionate about, because throughout my whole career, being a voice for local talent, being a voice for this city was like just something that felt natural and felt like it was a part of a responsibility of mine from the very jump. I think we were working with Toronto artists before it was cool to do so. Even in the early stages of Drake, worked at Belly and CP Records for almost 10 years. And even before that, we're talking like Citizen Kane, Ghetto Concept. In the mid to early 90s, the scene wasn't what it was now. So the only time artists were getting heard was either on mixtapes or on community radio, which luckily we both happened. We were part of both.
Of course.
So, fast forward, that was always a goal of mine. Like, how can I take what I'm doing and apply it to making sure that these up and coming artists are getting heard? So when the opportunity came to do the takeover, only started as a once a year thing.
Wow.
Okay.
Like
where it was on Toronto's birthday. I think March 6th is
so
Toronto's
all day
birthday.
Just kind of run
all day, and then the response was so big. We're like, why don't we do this? Shelter Mastermind. He's like, why don't we do this like 6 days a week? Or 5 days a week, whatever it is. And I was like, let's do it. And it's really what, is satisfying to me. It's a little self-serving because I get that satisfaction from that.
I think that a lot of people are getting satisfaction from it too, like the artists themselves, right? Like when I was listening in, I'm like, yo, damn, like they're putting on guys that like they've been working but not getting no exposure. And it's nice to see that, right? So has anyone come to you and be like, yo, I appreciate like what you've done for my career?
No, 100%, man. The love is there, right? You could see the appreciation of artists, because otherwise, where are these artists getting played? Spotify, Apple Music, streaming. But if somebody's not directly going to look for your music, then how does it happen? But like, Flow is, anywhere from 250 to 450,000 people. Is the audience for Flow. So, you can get a soccer mom who might not know who Dylan Ponders is. Right? Here's a show and here's Dylan Ponders, and then all of a sudden goes down the rabbit hole. And that's happened, right? Like I've heard people say, oh my God, I heard this song on your show and now I'm a fan of this person. And that like is this is the greatest thing ever. Like, you heard a 3-minute song and all of a sudden now this guy's music will be with you for however long you decide to, go down.
Man, I got lots of respect for you for doing that, because like, bro, like you have the resources to do it. And you're one of the only that can do it. Like you said, 93.5, the only hip hop. They don't have much options. We got so much talent here. And like, yo, that's mad respect to you, because like,
do you feel like there's always been like this many artists in Toronto, but they just haven't been getting that light? Or do you feel like now that
there's a boom,
there has been obviously some successful people coming out of the city, there's guys like you who are putting these guys on? Like, do you feel like there's more of an influx? The younger generation is like feeling like, yo, maybe there is like a career in this.
Right. It's funny that you asked that, because I have those conversations a lot. Rewind 15 years ago, a couple things weren't. So the technology wasn't there. So you had to have money to go to a studio and record. That's not cheap.
True.
And like you said, how much successful people had come out of the city doing that. You know, there's only a handful, like maybe Cardinal being the face of that whole movement throughout those times. So how inspiring is it? Like, how's the likelihood that if you do this, you're going to succeed? Not that big. So it was a smaller community then. But now, like, you know, and I related to like Derrick Rose probably growing up in Chicago, watching Michael Jordan play for the Bulls and win rings. He's like, fuck, maybe this is a possibility. Right now, come back home here to Toronto, Drake is the biggest fucking artist in the world.
Yeah, true.
So a little kid in Woodbridge, or a little kid in Jane and Finch, or a little kid in Regent Park is sitting in his room with his computer and a Shure microphone and is like, you know what, I can do this.
Yeah, straight
and
up.
It's just the inspiration and the motivation, I think, that's allowed our scene to grow to where it is now.
Are these guys hungry? These young guys that you meet?
Oh, fuck yeah. Like, I'm a little bit of an older dude, right? And I'm like, man, if I had this grind back then. Because it's different, right? The internet changes things. Like, you can press a button and your music is out. You don't even need a distribution company. There's TuneCore, there's DistroKid. Like, technology's there. You can record the song in your bedroom, hit fucking a button, and boom, it's on all platforms. It's out there in the world for people to consume. So yeah, these kids are super hungry, man. Like they're getting to the bread. Like,
well, it's
early.
Like you said, I think now that the technology's there, and they have people to look up to from the city, right? But again, I think, and back to what Ernesto was saying, like, kudos to you, and there's a few other guys in the city that are doing the same thing, trying to put the younger artists or the newer artists on, bro, because that's what we need. And I think that now more than ever, I feel like Toronto has finally come to a point where it's like we can start to appreciate each other and appreciate the competition. You know what I'm saying? And
appreciate the competition. That's a huge one. It is commercial time. I want to shout out our good friends at Resolve CBD. They sent us some cool products that we want to get into and give you the benefits on.
Yeah, you know what? And we actually want to shed some light on that they're a Toronto-based wellness company. So we always got to show love to anybody from Toronto, from our city. But yeah, in their third year of operations, they're offering a variety of CBD products, from oils to creams, capsules, gummies, and even a pets line, which is pretty cool.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I mean, all of their products use whole hemp extracts, sourced from Canadian-based farms. Canadian.
Love that.
Keep it Canadian.
Love that.
And before you all get scared about, oh my God, I'm about to get high off this shit. You're not, okay? Resolve products exclusively use hemp, okay? Not marijuana. So you can get all the benefits without no high.
Yeah. And actually, we're going to shed some light on their two most popular products, the CBD oil and the CBD pain cream. The oil is one of the most popular methods of taking CBD. You guys have probably heard about it. You take the little syringe, pop, couple under the tongue. You feel great. 15 minutes, you're vibing.
Nice.
The pain cream, it's a good topical solution. If you don't know what topical is, it's literally creams. You rub that on your skin. It's good for issues like soreness, irritation. Athletes love it. Anybody who's generally active definitely would be a good person to use this. It's good for post-workout recovery.
Yep. I mean, we're going to drop the links in our description.
Yes.
We'll drop the website, drop the IG. Go check them out. Go show them love. Go try their products. They're dope.
CBD Resolve. Appreciate you guys. Let's get back to it.
You know what I would like to see though? Like there's this I get this feeling sometimes that like the gatekeepers sometimes are not as ready to accept a new generation.
Yeah.
Like I experienced that a lot when I was young. I felt like there was doors coming up. Like
for sure.
The connect between me and the corporate world was just like, y'all are a little too rough around. Like and I think that still kind of exists. I hear that from time to time. Like some of the OGs would be like, yo, brother, respect for what you're doing because you're one of the OGs that's like connecting with the younger generations. You need to see a little bit more of that. Though.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
I agree.
That's the one
Why do you
piece of
think we don't?
criticism. Just like that, like, those giant ass turkeys or some shit. I don't know. Like, what are those youngins with their baggy pants? Like, you know what I mean? It's just that mental. Like, okay, TikTok, perfectly. I fucking hate TikTok. I fucking hate TikTok with a passion. You know what I mean?
Hate, bro.
Yeah. Because you just see people doing stupid shit. Like, I'll park in the car and somebody was doing some shit on the corner on Queen Street. I'm like, come on. Like, what the fuck?
Traffic, bro.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You look like a fucking idiot. No disrespect to the TikTok community. I don't want to be hounded. But, sorry, I don't know where we were going with that.
No, I was saying, why do you think that? Yeah, why do you think that we don't get enough love, maybe from the older generation?
Just a lack of understanding, right? Like, what I hear a lot of is, the Toronto rap scene is just street politics. That's all we are.
Yeah.
Like the Chicago drill scene.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
Yeah.
That's a small part.
Yeah.
Right. And that is just a product of these kids' environment. If that's what you know, that's what you can rap about. But there's people doing all kinds of other shit.
Of course.
There's all kinds of rap. Like
I guess because you're in tune with what's going on too. Like you know more too.
I know that it's not just, guys talking about smoking on their ops, quote unquote, right? Like there's other music out there. And I think the lack of understanding maybe from the gatekeepers is hindering that, hindering them from getting involved because they think it's all just politics. You turn on the news, what rappers do you hear about? The rappers, whatever, some shit happened here, this guy was a rapper, blah, blah, blah. It just shines a negative light on the scene, but the scene is so much bigger than that. Not everybody gets labeled that one part. That's just a small part of the scene. In hip-hop in general, that's a small part.
Yeah, but you're also saying you understand it. You understand.
I understand it. I come from that place. I was that kid once upon a time. Like it wasn't until I was in my late 20s until I really fucking smartened up. And I was like, okay, I need to, get my priorities together.
100%.
So, but I think a lot of people maybe come from those same situations and might forget a little bit what it was like to be that person, right?
Have you ever brought some guys into the studio at like 935 and people were like, whoa, like all kind of shook?
Scaredy answered
for sure. 100%.
That's funny. Like imagine like, whatever. You see these guys like, some of these guys are really about what they rap about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether that's for the good or for the bad. And so I can only imagine you're bringing them into this corporate setting.
I'm not going to name the artist.
For sure, of course.
But he came with his entourage, and a dude was literally getting out of a Maplehurst fucking jumpsuit and changing into clothes. And they're like, yeah, we just picked him up from the bin. And I was like, that's hip hop for sure. Oh my God.
Oh, got your coworkers like,
I want to talk about even like bouncing back on technology and everything like that. How do you think technology has changed radio in maybe the last 10 years since you first entered to now?
You know what's crazy? So we discussed this. I got hit with COVID in August. But like prior to that, I was working from home, broadcasting my show for almost a year and a half.
Oh shit!
Oh, from home.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
And that's technology, right? Like I'm wondering, like, why am I going back to the? I'm back at the station now, but that's to technology, right? Like you can consume. Prior to this, the only place to consume radio was on a radio.
Yeah.
When I do the takeover, it's at 11 o'clock, so most people are at home. They're tuning in on their laptop.
Yeah.
Right. So the way people consume radio has changed. I think technology has a big part to do with that. Like you're consuming it on your phone, you're consuming it via the app, you're consuming it via some other platform. So the way we consume radio has changed. And of course the technology, I think back in the days, guys were splicing tape together and getting fucking records together and doing all kinds of shit. Like right now I come in there, everything's automated.
Yeah.
Right? Like a lot of people think I'm picking the music and like playing the music.
Yeah, like as you go.
I don't love Lil Nas X that fucking much. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. Guy's cool and everything, but it's not my first choice to go to.
Yeah, for sure.
So the music is pre-programmed and I literally come in and just do my thing on the mic.
Can you walk us through like a when you go in or like a day, like whatever?
So like I walk in there, studios there, nobody else is in there, just myself. I walk in, there's a log with what songs they're playing at what times, and then what times I'm there to talk. Like it gives me my talk breaks are kind of pre-scheduled for me to talk in those parts. And I'm focusing on social media, answering calls, prepping for the takeover, getting the mix shows ready while I'm doing my show. But all the music is
ready to go.
Yeah. So for anybody out there is like, Ricky, why the fuck you playing?
Lil Nas 3 times in a row.
He already knew.
Don't bring the smoke to me. I have nothing to do with it.
I also want to ask you, because you're in a position to kind of like put people on in a real way, bro. Has there been any artists you kind of got from the jump and now they're kind of blowing up and you're like, damn, like I kind of helped?
Well, I met Drake before from his, like I met Drake outside of Fluid. My homie was his first manager.
Wow.
So that was really special to see because the first mixtape, which I think was called Room for Improvement, dropped, and I remember him giving it to me.
Wow. And
I was like, this is the kid from just fucking Wheelchair Jimmy.
Yeah,
this is the Degrassi
man.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, what the fuck? Here's another rapper. This kid wants to be a rapper. Yeah. I remember driving to go do a gig in London, and I put the fucking CD in, me and my partner driving up, and this was the first time I've ever heard artists from Toronto and thought to myself, from the first fucking 25 minutes after hearing the tape, we were speechless. We were just quiet the whole drive, and we're looking at each other, we're like, and this is not the Drake we hear now, by the way. This is Drake in 2007, maybe, 2008. Maybe a little earlier than that. And I realized, I'm like, this kid's gonna change the rap game here in Toronto because the way he sounds, the way he's writing on these beats, on these records, this guy's gonna be a legend. I remember telling my friends, I'm like, this guy's gonna be bigger than Jay-Z. Everybody's fucking clowning me.
Come on.
Yeah.
That early?
Yeah, and seeing him go in the studio from the jump, like we would get a bunch of artists from the city together, and every time we did a mixtape, we'd put together 3 or 4 like posse cuts.
Okay,
cool.
Where all the artists from the city got together. So we'd bring in like Preem, maybe Drake, JD Era, Daytona, shouts to all the OGs, and put them on records. And I remember Jake would just come in there, sit in the corner for like 4 or 5 minutes, and come with the craziest fucking verse. And just bang it out and be like done, and then he's just playing video games after. You know what I mean? And
crazy,
you know, just seeing that, I was like, wow. Yeah. And then shortly after, it just blew up.
Yeah, Wayne caught on.
Yeah, so to see it go from, you know, probably started before I got that first mixtape, but to see it go from that mixtape to a Young Money, Cash Money deal, and then to what we see now. I'm just a fan of the whole journey. You know, I was just glad that I was able to witness it. And you know, when I see his success, I feel some gratification for that because the city wins.
Yeah.
So all of us who are, you know, in the trenches trying to be a voice for this culture for over a quarter century, which is fucking crazy to even say. Yeah. We're seeing that all the work that we put in is finally paying off because the little kid that's 14 sitting in the bedroom in the hood is like, I could be Drake. Right.
That's the thing. You guys, no, seriously, it's big, man. You guys gave a platform. You guys built the foundation for what is to come for the next, man, 100, 200,000 years. Like seriously, like, which is fucking, bro. Like I don't think there's anything more rewarding than that in life. Like you guys really left a mark on the city, which is just like.
And it wasn't easy.
No.
I'll tell you something. 100%. In the 90s and 2000s, try going on King Street as a hip hop. You're like, buddy, you're not even getting in the fucking club dressed like that. First of all, so even just to see. Style, like this is how I dressed my whole life. And a fucking bouncer would tell, literally, if I wasn't DJing at the club, he'd tell me to fuck off. But now, that's the dress code in general, right? So everything is kind of cut up. Same with the music. Like, there was no way I was going to be a resident on King Street 2 or 3 nights a week in the early 2000s.
100%.
Barely you're lucky if you can get a club to do a hip hop party. But to see that that's been accepted as mainstream music now and everybody else is caught up, it's just a great fucking feeling. But it wasn't easy. It was a tough journey.
I'm curious more from a radio standpoint. A lot of stuff that I hear or that I've read is that like the radio scene in Canada isn't the same as it is in America.
Right.
And I want your opinion on maybe why that is.
I can speak to that fact only from the perspective of hip hop.
Okay.
Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a radio OG.
No.
Right? Because most people have been in radio 20 years before they get to work in a market like Toronto. Yeah. I was just lucky enough to be, right time, right place, and put in my dues in other aspects, in other ways. But, like, I mean, what I get from it is that, the people spending money on radio help dictate what gets played on radio. I mean, it sounds fucked up, but that's the reality, right? Like, if big corporations don't believe in hip hop here in Canada, then how far is hip hop going to go on the radio here in Canada?
Fair.
Whereas the US, that's just part of. That's why you'll have a market where there's 3 or 4 hip hop stations in the same market. We have one station for 35 million people.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? Yeah, literally one town will have like 3, 4.
Right. New York will have like 2 stations and then a gold hip hop station, and then let's not forget about the community stations and whatever else is going on. Right. So I think the audience and the corporate culture is a little bit more accepting of hip hop in the States, and that's why we see such a big. That's why we see the Breakfast Club. That's why we see like big radio dudes that we don't really see here.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the same looks like DJ Envy's getting, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, essentially, bro, you're doing exactly that. Like, you're doing what you're doing is the same in terms of radio. And then I would stand to argue that from a culture perspective, you've been way more maybe than a lot of these guys, let's say in the States. That can be argued. Let's say
started around the same time I had started, exactly. Right? So we had been in like the same rooms and in clubs and like from the very beginning. It just shows, right? You can start from the same place.
Yes.
You can be in Canada and you can be in New York, and all of a sudden you could be living a certain way or versus here. Not saying I'm living bad or anything.
Yeah. No.
But I'm not fucking hopping on a PJ to go to Vegas. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess essentially. I guess that comes back to like the gatekeepers,
right?
Well, because dude, like you're looking at some of these rappers in the States, and they're on like, man, it's like the Migos are getting a Subway deal, like, you know what I mean, for Subway.
But we don't even see those same ad campaigns.
100%,
right? 100%. We don't see the Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Taco Bell, whatever it is. We don't see that, which is still scratching my head because let's look at the numbers. Are we saying that people are not familiar with the Migos or not listening to the Migos? Of course they fucking are.
100%.
But how come Canadian media is not picking? Now I don't know if there's some legalities, there's something to do with that. But I'm thinking it's not too hard to make that fucking happen. I wouldn't
think it is.
Now we are starting to see a little bit of that here. Like we're starting to see like companies like Foot Locker and companies that are associated with the culture starting to realize that the ad should look like the people buying the product.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I mean?
I think that's the next step. Is it like you're saying? Is getting these corporations to start slowly incorporating that, because it's like you said, who the fuck's buying the product?
If you got the corporate bread, holla at me. I'm right here. You hear the story, you hear the hustle, holla at me.
We got you. No, it's true. It's like they got to step up and now be the next people to push the culture forward, because it's like they're profiting off the culture. Right. Give the fucking culture some.
But that's the word that you said right there. There's a very important word that you said: culture.
Yeah.
Right, and obviously hip hop is a culture within itself.
Yeah.
But there's American culture and there's Canadian culture. Yeah. And Canada is still very rock and roll, very Canadiana.
Yeah, you think so?
Come on, look at the Junos. Yeah. Look at radio. Let's look at the landscape of radio here in Canada. It's
true.
What do you see?
Why would we only have one station?
Yeah, right. But it's like he's saying, like, I don't know. I guess maybe I'll speak from like Toronto. Like Toronto is all hip hop, bro.
Yeah, but Toronto is a planet unto its own.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Let's be honest.
But we also, I feel like Toronto has the most influence on our country. Like if someone thinks of Canada, bro, they're not thinking of fucking Ottawa, bro. They're not thinking of fucking Quebec City, fam. Like they're looking at Toronto and saying Toronto is Canada.
Right. I think it still needs to have that ripple
people
effect.
In Winnipeg that are gonna fucking hate you right now.
Listen, Winnipeg, love you guys if you're listening, but like, listen, Toronto is Canada. We set the trends for what happens in this country, bro. Like it is what it is. We got to call a spade, right?
Yeah, bro.
So Subway, start giving the mans the fucking bread,
bro. Like, Apple, someone, bro.
Show us love.
I want to talk about even the future of radio.
Right.
Okay. Where do you see the future of radio headed? Right. Do you think that they'll have to implement anything to stay trendy, like podcasting, like different kind of commercials? I'm not sure. I'm kind of curious to know what you think about it.
A lot of talk about radio is dead.
I've been hearing
a lot of people. I mean, like who listens to radio? If I'm on like somebody's IG at 6Buzz and there's like what radio? They're like, who fucking listens to radio? The reality is, a lot of fucking people listen to radio.
You would know, right? Like,
a lot of fucking people listen to radio. Give and take. Anybody could be listening. Up to 400,000 people could be listening to at any given time. That's a lot of fucking people, man. The reason being, it is free.
Yeah.
So as long as radios are still put in cars and it's free, people will continue to listen to radio. How they listen might change. Like, is somebody sitting there, a lot of people are like, yo, how come you guys play the same record all day? Now, whether I'm for that or against that, that's neither here or there. But the reality is, when people are programming radio, they expect the average listener to listen to 5 to 15 minutes at a time.
And then,
right, and they want to hear, and the thought is the listener wants to hear familiar music.
Yeah.
So that's why you'll hear a song played 18 times a day, because nobody's listening for 6 hours and hearing that.
No, the whole time.
When they're in and out of the car, the hopes is they get to hear their favorite song.
Okay.
Will radio have to adapt? Yes, because satellite radio is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? But there's something about being local that still matters, right? There's something about turning on the radio and hearing somebody from my city talk about shit that's going on in my city from the perspective of my city. So as much as I love listening to XM, I still find myself tuning in to 680, 1010 or KISS or Virgin or whatever to get that vibe, right?
100%.
So I think, I don't think satellite radio can service that need. I think that's something that needs to be done from terrestrial radio. How technology will change things, I'm not sure. That's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think, like I said, as long as radios are put in vehicles and it's free, radio's not going anywhere.
That's a good point, bro. That's a good point.
I'm curious because you said you're a pretty opinionated guy.
Yeah.
I guess, do you stay away from that when it comes to radio?
If my bosses are listening right now and are watching and it has to do with the station, maybe.
Yeah.
But
like,
where are we going with this?
No, I'm just curious. Bro, like you're speaking to thousands of people at a time, potentially hundreds of thousands at a time, right? I'm just curious, like, is there a level of like that they want you to kind of speak your mind and be open?
No, I think luckily at Flow, my bosses have urged me to be controversial at times.
Okay.
That's what fucking sells, right?
Well,
Let's look at
that's kind of why I'm asking.
Do I have the balls to do that right now? I don't know. Like, I am still wet behind the ears when it comes to commercial radio.
Okay.
Right? Like when I was doing community radio, you could talk for as long as you fucking wanted to.
Yeah.
My breaks are like less than, if I'm talking for more than a minute on radio, that is a lifetime.
Really?
Yeah, like usually your breaks are 20 seconds, right? Like you ever hear somebody like, hey, the least one on there, here's the Jonas Brothers.
It's true.
You know, so I am still trying to come out of my shell. Like there's certain topics I avoid, like on the air with this whole thing going on with Dave Chappelle and the LGBTQ community. I stay away from. You know what I mean? Whether I support Dave Chappelle or not, it's just not something I'm comfortable talking about on air, because we live in cancel culture. I was talking about there was this whole movement to cancel Bugs Bunny or one of the fucking Looney Tunes.
Here we go.
Pepe Le Pew.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
So I went on the air and I'm like, guys, he's a cartoon character. Let's keep that in mind. Yes, I understand that there's underlying the underlying story there. But now you're trying to cancel Bugs Bunny. Let's fucking be honest. You're canceling Bugs Bunny. And I was getting texts and people like, how dare you? Bugs Bunny was, and I was like, what the fuck? When did we become like this?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm fucking spending and I like, this was a while ago, so I'm like, it took me a while to learn, just like, fuck
let it
you.
go. You're like fucking getting cheese back and shit.
But at that same time, like, you're saying your bosses are actually like telling you like, yo, it's okay to be
like, be yourself. Obviously there's a line that you shouldn't be crossing, right?
Of course,
I don't want to offend anybody,
100%.
right? So I'm not going to do anything to offend anybody in general, but I'm learning to speak my mind as we go. Like I don't mind, I'm not going to say like, hey, there's a new movie, you should see it. I'm like, I seen the trailer for them, it looks like it sucks. You probably shouldn't go see that. Or I'll just kind of speak my own truth little by little as I get more comfortable. But I would like to get to a part where I'm like Howard Stern asking a hooker like how sucking dick goes for a living. No disrespect to any sex workers.
How about when you're interviewing artists and shit? Like, do you come up with the questions? Do you come up with
no, I don't, like you know what? I try not to like go through questions when I'm interviewing somebody. I kind of just want to have a conversation. I'll have my point form things that I definitely want to touch on. But I just try to make it as organic as possible.
Because you've interviewed some fucking huge people, bro.
I've been lucky enough to do so.
Who's your favorite? Who's been your best interview?
Man, Lil' Kim.
Really?
Damn. Yeah, Lil' Kim.
Really?
Lil' Kim was a dope ass interview. I was a little nervous because it was Lil' Kim.
Yeah, of course.
And she came in there and she just like lit up the room. She was so happy. She was smiling. And it's like I was just talking to a friend. Like I sort of got through the whole interview. I didn't look at my notes at all. Just having this discussion with her. And it was such a fulfilling conversation for me because she's telling me stories about the golden era of Bad Boy. Right? Like this is when hip hop really took off. And she's telling me stories about Big. So it was like one of the most interesting conversations I've ever had with an artist.
That's wild.
Those are
and it was organic. It was just organic. We could have went on for hours.
So you were having them in person before?
Yeah.
Oh, that's lit.
In person. Which, one thing about this pandemic, it has given more of an opportunity to get in touch with these artists. Because now they're like, okay, Zoom, I could be at home and just Zoom in and we could do it. So I've been able to land more interviews that way. But there's nothing like sitting in front of somebody.
Of course.
That's what I was going to say.
Like another one, a great one was Nav.
Huge.
We're both brown kids. I'm not a kid anymore, but we're both brown dudes that come from similar situations, and we know the same people. You know what I mean? EXO guys were heavily involved in CP prior to that, so it was a really dope setting. And then again, the conversation between me and him was just organic. It was just a talk.
So you coming from the same background, right?
Same situations.
No, that's crazy. If you had to like talk about any upcoming Toronto artist that you think has a chance to really go, who would you say? I know it's probably hard because there's a lot of them,
right? There's lots of different, like obviously Pressa has, I think, already passed that threshold.
He's through.
Doovie is somebody I think a lot of people are looking at as far as street rappers go, that might have the opportunity to go up. There's a young woman by the name of Bracco.
Okay.
She's amazing. I hope everybody that's listening go take in Bracco, Madara. Dylan Ponders is a guy that really interests me because he gives me that real Queen West hippie trippy kind of vibe. And he's making music out of the box, so I think he has the chance to appeal to a large audience and sidestep the bullshit.
I see what you're saying.
I don't think the cops are watching what Dylan Ponders is doing. I don't think, you know what I mean? I don't think he has an issue crossing the border. Which is a major deal, right? Like if you can't cross the fucking border, pretty much
you can't touch the biggest market.
You can't, as far as being there in person goes. You know, so those are a few. I mean, there's a lot of
people.
Goldie London. Shouts to Goldie London. Crazy female rapper coming out of the city right now. Hella consistent, really putting a lot of work, and just I think the big things are in the works for her as well.
What do you think an artist needs to do in this time, like to kind of get out there? Like
grind.
From what you've seen, yeah,
and be humble and like have some humility, man. Like you know what I mean.
think that's huge.
Yeah, like the one thing the things I live by in my career is being humble and having some humility. No matter how big I get. Like I was leaving a gig the other day and this kid was waiting outside. And he's like, yo, I've been trying to hit you on IG. I'm like, oh, you didn't text. And then I looked at my inbox and there's like fucking messages for like a year.
Of course.
And but he was humble enough to come down, wait for me outside. God knows how long he had been outside his club.
Damn.
And then and he's like, yo, can I just play you some records? So we got in the car and started listening to records. But it was just that like some guys would just tell the kid to fuck off. Like,
of course.
You know what I mean? You can't. I've seen it. I'm like, well, you're just an assole. Like, the kid's been waiting outside.
Well, you've been there before.
I've been, well, maybe not in that same
people
position.
Up or like trying to give them something.
So like just being, you know, having some humbleness and being, you know, just come down to earth a little bit.
Yeah. And what do you think about collaboration? Because I think that's another thing that I could be wrong, but maybe I don't see a lot of it when it comes to artists in the city. Like, I don't feel like they're collaborating. There's enough collaboration.
There is, but it depends where you're looking.
Yeah. Okay.
If we're looking at street rappers, there's obviously a lot of politics, a lot of issues. So we see maybe a little less of that, but we still see a lot of that. Okay. Don't get it twisted. There's a lot of that still happening.
Yeah.
But I think the city has never been on the same page as we are now. Like people are now realizing like we can get together. Like we got different producers, different writers getting together. There's writing camps now. There's a lot of shit going on that. It might not be front and center as far as the collaborative effort, but it's there.
It's happening.
It's 100%. It's there.
I'm curious about this since obviously you're involved in the culture the way you are, and you've been a part of it for the last 25 years. This might be like a little bit off the fucking road, but do you think Six Buzz has a positive what's the impact on the city and the culture? I'm curious.
First, shouts to everybody over Six Buzz. Shouts to Brad. They're doing something that we have never seen here. Like
we know Starman, cool guy. He's been here a couple times. Like real G.
With all media, there's gonna be pros and cons.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. We were talking about Howard Stern prior to.
Yeah.
Bunch of pros and cons with that. Right. You know, initially I think Six Buzz maybe had found themselves in a position where they were posting content that could led to negativity and a lot. But I think over the years they found their niche. If you look at the page now, it's mostly just the comments that are toxic. It's not the content, right?
Fair.
So that's a reflection of us as a society more so than anything else.
Cool. Yeah.
They're just like igniting that, you know.
But you know, as much eyes that gets put on to see, like I was out in Florida. And I was standing at a Walgreens, and I think I was wearing I was wearing a YYZ hat.
Okay.
And somebody's like, "What's that? What's YYZ?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's the airport code for Toronto." And then instantly, these guys had the heaviest Florida accents. Instantly, like, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was looking around me at Walgreens, I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" And they just used me as like a board to bounce their fucking Toronto accent off of for like 5 minutes. I'm like, where the fuck do you guys where do you guys know? Like, I don't even talk like this. Like, where'd you get this from? Oh, Six Buzz, fam, Six Buzz. I was like, Jesus. I was like, all right.
They're really out there.
So really like it's a platform that you know, brings attention to the city, lets the rest of the world know, lets them know what's going on here. And I mean, how can that be a negative at the end of the day?
Facts. Yeah.
I think when things get big like that, there's always going to be some shit that surrounds it. But in general, as far as the bigger picture, they're doing a lot of great things in the community as well, right?
Yeah.
So
they're putting a lot of guys on, and that's why I guess you know what, you actually put it in a good way where it's like the content isn't really toxic. It's just the fucking comments.
We're fucking mean people.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Is somebody that mean in person as they are behind the keyboard?
No.
Right. So it's the inner fucking demon inside that's typing away shit that they would never say anywhere else. And why that happens, I don't know. That's a deeper discussion on social media and I don't want to down this generation, but social media and this generation in general.
Fair.
It's kind of
you know, I think people are not getting out as much. So
just go out.
Just go outside.
Just go out, guys. Get out of there. No,
but like you said too, like to get the exposure at that kind of scale, you got to be controversial sometimes as well.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like, look at their content. That's changed a lot.
Of course. No, for sure. Over the years, definitely.
Well,
now there's other pages that picked up the toxic.
No, they're doing the toxic. Yeah, trying to grow it and they'll go to the same spot.
Yeah,
that kills
me. I mean,
me,
well, hey, man, I got post notifications on Six Buzz. So I'm the first comment.
You're the first guy.
And I'm the asshole. And
you're the guy that gets
He's the toxic comment. He's the toxic comment.
I'm out here getting 4,000 or 5,000 likes on it, and there's about 700 comments, and then people are just like going at it.
That's why I stopped commenting.
Yeah, you can't.
Because I was like, they're like, shut up, old man. What the fuck do you know?
Come on. These guys are sad.
Yeah, what is this fucking cornball? No, go back to playing Lil Nas X.
It's the Twitter fingers.
You know what I mean? And then at first I was like, you fucking little shit. You know what I mean? And then I realized, I'm like, you can't go to the. They got way too much smoke for me.
Yeah.
And they got more time than you, bro.
Yeah, they got way more time. Like,
I got a question for you. If there's anyone listening right now that would like to get into radio or DJing, what kind of advice do you have for them right now?
Go to law school instead. I'm being serious, man. This is not an easy life, man. Like, we were discussing nightlife, right?
Of course, yeah.
And it catches up with you. It's not the easiest, most glamorous thing in the world. Radio, if you're trying to make $1 million off the rip, don't go into radio.
Yeah.
You know, I think I play a clip from time to time on my show about Snoop, and he says, if you go into a job trying to make all the money in the world, you're going to hate the fucking job.
Yeah.
You got to go into the job for the passion of it.
Yeah.
And then the money just comes.
Yeah.
So if anybody's trying to get rich, don't do that.
Fair.
Go do something else.
Okay.
Fair.
You know, but if they have a passion and they don't know where to start?
Yeah. Community radio.
Yeah.
You know, if we're talking about radio versus the club right now, community radio is like, I was just volunteering there. You know what I mean? Not on air, not whatever, like organizing records or whatever, just being in the building, being around that.
Yeah.
And that'll give you the opportunities that you're looking for. As far as the club goes, I remember in the early 90s going outside of a club, shout out to Ron Nelson and Word of Mouth, and being there at like 9:30 with records and headphones, begging to open up for free. Wow. We did that for like maybe 5 weeks, 5 weekends. One weekend, the guy comes out, he's like, these fucking guys are here. He's like, you guys have headphones? We're like, yeah. You got needles? Get the fuck inside.
Yeah.
And
that was the goal.
That was the goal. That was go mode there.
Do you think that the nightlife stuff, like the contacts you made or the experience you had, was that leverage at all to get into radio? Did that help you get into radio?
Yeah, because that's definitely part of who I am. That built up, you know, me as a person and my contribution to this culture. I think when it comes to radio, they might have looked at somebody else like, well, this guy really doesn't have that much radio experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should look at somebody who's been in there. But I think what else I brought, like everything else that I brought to the table, might have, you know, been the driving factor to be like, okay, let's put this guy in that slot.
Definitely.
And then all that stuff comes from clubs.
Of course.
Yeah, it comes from nightlife.
Yeah, we're the first to vouch, bro. Clubs, fuck, bro.
Yeah.
You can build a network.
The network you need is
that's it,
bro. That puts you on the next level.
And that's why I still, you know, I'm still in the clubs to this day. It's just the networking, right?
Yeah.
Like once you're not in front of people tend to forget about you.
Yeah.
Alcohol is still fun from time to time.
It's just the day after I came here. I was like, I got the Gatorade. I was drinking Pedialyte last night. I was like, fuck, I gotta get up.
You look good, bro. You look good.
Thank you.
Listen, we got a question
On the outside.
Yeah, I know those ones.
Oh, we know those. We know those.
The inside's not the same, bro. Listen, we're the MBH podcast, bro.
Right.
Money buys happiness.
Right.
What do you think of the term?
Yes. Of course.
Love it.
Of course. I mean, it's stress, right? Money alleviates stress. I'm not saying how much it changes happiness, but when you're fucking broke, there's just weight on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Right? Like, fuck, I got to take care of this person. I got to take care of that person. I got to pay this bill. I got to pay that bill. You can't live how you want to live. You know, when money comes into the picture, does all that shit disappear? No, because now you want to buy your bigger goals.
Yeah.
So you take on bigger responsibility. But it just alleviates some of the stress that you know that no matter what, your people are like, for me, my family's taken care of, my shit's taken care of. I know my grandkids are going to be living good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so money, fuck it. Of course it buys happiness, but it also brings on, you know, more money, more problems.
Yeah. That's a fact.
You know?
That's a
maybe
fucking
you were happy with a
said
Honda,
that.
now you want a fucking Bentley. Like, when
Yeah.
does it stop?
It's true.
I don't think it ever stops,
No.
to be honest.
No.
I don't think it ever does.
How can you?
That's how we get stuck in this. But at the same time, in my
That's the
opinion,
journey,
it buys
bro.
happiness, bro. I'll take money all day. Listen, you got the check or what? You got the cash?
There are some people with money that are miserable, though.
It's facts. That's facts.
For sure.
It depends on how you played it. Depends on the individual.
Yeah. What you do with the money, how you make it,
That's it.
all that stuff.
Yo, Ricochet, if anyone wants to find you, where can they find you, bro?
Tap in with me on my Instagram or my Twitter.
Nice.
Ricochet on air, I'm sure maybe something will pop up.
We got that up there.
Right, bro. Appreciate you coming by.
Thank you guys for having me, man.
Pleasure, keep up the good shit, bro.
Yes, sir.
We'll
Thank
keep
you.
listening,
Yes.
tuning in.
And man, we appreciate your time.
Thank you, man.
Dean,
we fucking out.